The North Carolina Senate race in the 2026 midterms should be one of the most competitive races of this whole cycle. However, it may be the Democrats' best opportunity to pick up a seat this cycle. Why? Well, a lot of it comes down to candidate quality. Roy Cooper, the Democratic nominee, is the former governor from the state of North Carolina. Michael Whatley, on the other hand, is the former RNC chair, and ultimately not the strongest candidate amongst someone with the, shall I say, backing and support of Democrats across the nation, including North Carolina state Democrats like Roy Cooper is. Roy Cooper, extremely popular amongst North Carolinians, has served as governor for 8 years before ultimately leaving office 2 years ago. And this race should be one of the most competitive races of the whole cycle. But ultimately, that's not the case. North Carolina currently has, according to VoteHub, about an 87.7% chance of flipping to the Democrats in the 2026 midterms, with Roy Cooper expected to win about 7.5 percentage points over Michael Whatley. Now, this is significant because North Carolina is a swing state that Donald Trump won in 2024 by 3.2%. Back that up to 2020, 1.3%, 2016, 3.7%. A swing state nonetheless, but one that should be really competitive. However, this cycle looks like that may not be the case. When we look back at statistical odds, Roy Cooper has performed well in the state of North Carolina. He actually, in fact, ran unopposed for his attorney general race back in 2012 and ultimately won with 100% of the vote because, again, he ran unopposed. No Republican even challenged him for this race. 4 years later, though, he ran for governor in one of the most competitive races in the entire cycle, only winning by 0.22% to the incumbent governor at the time. Roy Cooper has never lost a statewide race in the state of North Carolina. Fast forward to 2020, when he won re-election, he won by 4.5 percentage points. Now, it's important to keep in mind this ballot was the same one that Donald Trump ultimately lost the presidential race on and Joe Biden won, but ultimately Donald Trump still won the state of North Carolina by over a percentage point. Roy Cooper, though, winning the state by 4.5%. A popular governor, one that's ran unopposed before and knows how to win elections. That's why this race is not as competitive as it could be this cycle. Now, of course, Democrats are still throwing money in on this race, and they're not considering it a slam dunk yet. However, polling would have you believe otherwise. Cooper up 4 from public policy polling back at the beginning to mid-July. The New York Times, Cooper plus 7. This was towards the end of June when this was conducted. YouGov at the beginning of June, Cooper plus 14. So ultimately, if you look at these polling averages and average it out yourself, you're going to come to the realization that Roy Cooper is the clear favorite to win this race in North Carolina. And it's not very shocking. If you look at the statistical odds, if you look at the fact that Roy Cooper's won here before, and if you look at the environment overall, Roy Cooper has the upper hand in this midterm election against someone like Michael Whatley. Michael Whatley, handpicked by Donald Trump. And if we go back to the 2022 midterms, when ultimately candidates that that Donald Trump endorsed and they didn't perform well. Like Herschel Walker in the state of Georgia, losing that race by about 3 percentage points. Dr. Oz losing the race in Pennsylvania by 5%. Meanwhile, polling had you believe that Dr. Oz might in fact be ahead. No chance though. John Fetterman won the race by 5 percentage points. Republicans won in the state of Wisconsin, but it was still very close race. Barnes coming within a percentage point of flipping that race back in 2022. Keep in mind, this was a Republican-style midterm. If we go to North Carolina back then, Ted Budd, not the greatest candidate, and Beasley ultimately lost this race by 3.2%, but keep in mind, Donald Trump had won the state 2 years prior. It was a Republican environment. Ted Budd, not the worst amongst the Republican candidates, but certainly not the best. The Republicans' best shot was in Nevada, where Adam Laxalt almost won this race, and it was close. Masto only winning by less than a percentage point because of candidate quality. When you go to states like Arizona and you have Masters, who was not a strong candidate, Democrats perform well, 5 percentage points. Democrats perform well in states like Georgia with 3%. They perform well in states like North Carolina. Even though they didn't lose, they still performed pretty well on the national average. Perform well against candidates like Dr. Oz. This isn't shocking. It's candidate quality, and it's the type of candidates that Donald Trump is willing to endorse in these midterm cycles. Donald Trump, ultimately, first and foremost, is worried about himself and wants people who are going to have his backing when they get to Congress. He doesn't care if they ultimately win or not. It's about loyalty to the president. And ultimately, that loyalty doesn't win you elections. It may win him with the MAGA base, but it will not win him with moderate voters who are trying to tell the president that they want something different. In the 2026 midterms, we're looking at a realistic possibility of Democrats almost winning the Senate, and they might in fact do it. North Carolina, 87% chance of winning and flipping this race? That's huge. Of course, candidate quality, again, I keep saying, has a huge impact on this. But overall, it's going to play into the Senate map. Roy Cooper, being a strong Democratic candidate who can win this race in North Carolina, helps Democrats on the national level when it comes to Senate races. If this is the case, if North Carolina is a guaranteed flip, Democrats are already at 48 seats. They then need 3 seats to flip the Senate, 2 to tie it. According to VoteHub, Maine and Alaska are already there. Democrats are expected to win those, now given slim margins, nothing like the state of North Carolina, but still expected to win, giving Democrats a 50-50 split in the Senate versus their current 47 seats. So, candidate quality matters. Michael Whatley, not a strong candidate. Polling shows you that. The betting odds would also show you that. If we go to VoteHub and we go to North Carolina and we scroll down to the markets, Roy Cooper has a 90.1% chance, according to markets, on winning. This is according to Kalshi. People are betting on Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper's fundraising shows it. $35 million in the bank. Roy Cooper is the candidate to beat this cycle. Roy Cooper is favored to win in North Carolina, and he's ultimately, very, very likely, going to be North Carolina's next senator. Who's to blame? A lot of it comes down to Donald Trump. Requiring loyalty from candidates who necessarily are not the best candidates, and still requiring that loyalty, but ultimately may cost you by losing an election. So, with that said, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe that Roy Cooper is going to win this race? And if so, how big do you think that margin's going to be? Don't forget to like and subscribe as always. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.